All right, so the next topic that we're going to be covering is volume. And so for volume, we are going to, so if we look here to the side, I have included the formula chart. And so we are using these three formulas. Okay, if you have a prism or a cylinder, you're going to use the same formula. It's volume equals big B times little h. And big B stands for the area of the base, just like it did in surface area. Then we have a pyramid or a cone. So all your pyramids and cones, your volume is going to be 1/3 big B times little h. And then last is going to be your sphere. Your sphere is going to be volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed, and r stands for radius. So let's go ahead and try these out. So if we look at the first one, you start off by identifying what kind of shape you have. In this case, we have a prism because you have two parallel bases. And since we have a prism, that means we're going to use volume equals big B times little h. And remember, big B stands for the area of the base. So this is my base. And to find the area, it is a rectangle. So we need to do length times the width, which is 6 here and the 13. So we're going to do 6 times 13. And let's see, 6 times 13 gives us, I believe, 78. Oh. Yes, 78, sorry. And then we have inches squared because it is the area. And then we take the next one, we're going to find h. H is the height of our prism. So the height of our prism here is going to be 3 inches. So h is equal to 3 inches. So to get our volume, we're going to do big B, which is 78, times little h, which is 3. So when we plug that in our calculator, 78 times 3, that gives us 234 inches. And then since this is in the third dimension, it's going to be cubed. Okay, we took inches squared times inches, that gives you inches cubed. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So on this one, we have a pyramid. So because this is a pyramid, our volume is going to equal 1/3 big B times little h. And remember, big B stands for the area of the base. So if we look here, our base is a rectangle or a square shape, and it's going to be 12 times 12, which is 144. This is a square pyramid. And then our units are inches squared. Take the height. Now this is different from the the surface area because your height is going to make a right angle with the base. So this is going to be my height. It's going to be the 8 inches. Okay. For surface area, you use this one as height. Okay. But that's not we want the actual height of this prism. Okay. So that's why we have to use an 8. And so now we're ready to go ahead and plug this into the formula. So volume equals 1/3. Big B we said is 144. And then times little h, which is 8. So times 8. When we plug this in our calculator, go ahead and punch this in. 3 times 1, or 1/3, I'm sorry. 144 times 8. And that gives us 384. And then our units are inches to the third power. 384 inches cubed. All right, moving on to the next one. So this next one we have is a triangular prism. So we know this one is a prism because we have 2 parallel bases. So here are my 2 parallel bases. And so that means we're using volume equals big B times little h. And remember, big B stands for the area of the base. And even though this prism is lying on its side, this is going to be my base. Okay, so since this is a triangle, we're going to do 1/2 our base, which is 3 feet. This is my base. And then I need to figure out how tall this little triangle is. So it tells us over here that it is 1.6 And I'm going to go ahead and plug that into my calculator. So 1/2 times 3 times 1.6, and that gives me 2.4. And my units here are feet, and then square. Then my height. So I have to imagine if I were to stand this on its base, this is how tall my figure would be. So that would be 9 feet. So now I am ready to plug this into my formula. So volume equals big B, which is 2.4, times little h, which is 9. And I go ahead and plug that into my calculator. And that gives me 21.6 feet squared. All right, so then the next one. So this next one is a cone. So because this is a cone, we are going to use volume equals 1/3 big B times little h. Okay, and so for big B, we are going to find the area of the base. Now this time, my base is in the shape of a circle. So if we find the area of the circle, it is going to be pi, our radius, which is 10, squared, okay, which is going to give me 100 pi. Okay, and I'm going to leave it in terms of pi just because sometimes it gets a little bit messy. And then our units here are centimeters squared. All right, now we're going to take the height of the prism. So remember, our height is going to go from the top of this peak going straight down. That's the height that we use for volume. So our height here is 24 centimeters. So now I'm ready to use it in my formula. So 1/3 times big B, which we said is 100 pi, times 24. I'm going to go ahead and leave this one in terms of pi, and then I'm also going to write it as a decimal. I'm going to give you both because you could possibly get both on your assignment. So we're going to get 800 pi in terms of pi. So it'd be 800 pi centimeters squared. So that means you don't multiply the pi. You just take 1/3 of 100 and multiply it times 24, which gives us 800. Or if they want it as a decimal, that's when you actually multiply it times pi. And that is going to give us 2,513.3 centimeters. Oh, you know what? It should be cubed, not squared. I'm sorry about that. There you go. All right, so the next example here. This one is a cylinder. So since we have a cylinder, we are going to use volume equals big E times little h, okay? So since we're using now, we need to find the area of the base, which is this circle. So we're going to use pi r squared. Now, if we look here, our radius is not 40. It is half of that because they give us a diameter. So you have to take half of the 40, which gives us 20 squared. And so if I do this in my calculator, I'm going to leave it in terms of pi. This would give me 400. And then our units are centimeters squared. Then I find my height. So my height of my cylinder is 75. So 75 centimeters. So now I am ready to find my volume. So my volume is going to be big B, which is 400 pi times little h, which is 75. Okay, I'm going to do both of them, one in terms of pi and one of them in a decimal. So this is going to give me 30,000 pi, and then our units are centimeters squared. And then if they didn't want it in terms of pi and they wanted it as a decimal, I would take 30,000 and multiply it times pi, and this gives me 94,247.8 centimeters squared. Okay. So either answer is correct, just one is in terms of pi and the other one is as a decimal. Now, last example, this is a sphere. So with our sphere, our volume is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. So the only thing we need to find for this one is the radius. So if I look here, my radius is 8 inches. So when I do my volume, we're going to do 4/3. And then it's going to be pi. And then our radius is 8 to the 3rd power. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing also. I am going to give this as a decimal and in radians. In radians and pi, I'm sorry. So this gives us 682.667. So that means that the 6 continues on forever. So that would be in terms of pi. And then our units are inches cubed. But if I didn't want it in terms of pi and I wanted to actually multiply the pi, it would be 2,144.7 inches cubed. Okay. And that's it. If you guys have any questions, remember you can always contact me through email. You guys can leave it in the comments. Thank you. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.